Hi, welcome to SimpleLocalize. In today's video, I will show you how to manage your translations in SimpleLocalize. When you create your first project, first we can go to Languages tab and create our languages. By default, SimpleLocalize will create English language, as you can see here, but we can add more languages manually from here. We can add Spanish, for example, like that, and also we can choose one of existing languages, so we can select the language from the list in here. So let's add language, and we have our languages ready. I want English to be my default language, so I choose this option, and here we can change the order of languages. So I have English, Spanish and Czech like this, and we can save this as project settings. Okay, once the languages are ready, it's time to import our translations, to import them or to add them manually. If we go to Translations tab, here you can import your translations from a selected file format. For example, we can import translations in a single language in JSON. So here we will choose our language. Here is the file with translations, so I can import that. And let's start the upload. Here we can see the summary of the upload, so you can check if everything is okay. So let's start the import. So it's a quick process basically. We have all the translations imported from the file in the translation editor. Another option to add translations to the system is a manual way. So you can create translation keys using the button in the top right corner here. And here we can add just translation keys or add them right away with translations. So for example, I want to add total key with translation of total, and another one will be balance due. And we can create those translation keys. Here right away you can add a namespace for your translation keys. So if you are managing namespaces, it's a useful way to do it right away for keys added manually in the editor. So let's create translation keys, and they are here. We can save the changes now. In the next step, you can invite your co-workers, teammates or translators so they can help you with the work on translations. So we can go to People tab. Here we can see the list of users assigned to the project, and we can get a shareable link that you can send to your teammates. So the system will generate the link for administrators or translators permission. Or you can invite project member from here by giving the email address and selecting the project role. We have the administrator role, so the user has access to all features in the system, to all tabs in the project. Or translator role, which you can limit with permissions. So here you can choose what the translator can do or to which languages they have access. Okay, now it's time to work on our translations. So we go to Translations tab, and we can check and adjust our translation editor. By default, you will see the list view like this one, where you can see two languages and you can add translation, for example, like that. And here, when you work on translations in this view, you can use your keyboard to quickly jump to the next translation key. So you can hold Ctrl and Enter to go to the next key to translate. So this should speed up the translation process. So this is a list view where you can see two languages. You can switch between them easily. You can add description to the translation, so it's easier for others to understand where the translation is located. For example, you can also add a screenshot to the translation as well. And here you can see some extra options. Here is the information about the number of characters and words that the text has, for example, in here, and extra features like auto translation, history, or review status. If we have a translation like this, we can accept the translation so we know that it's okay and it's ready to use. Okay, now we can adjust the editor. If you go to settings in the top right corner of this tab here, you can find multiple settings that will help you customize the translation editor to make it work to your needs. So this is list view with side-by-side view, but we can also display all translations, all languages under the key like this. We can make the inputs bigger. As you can see, we can set up the text to be wrapped or not. We can show actions or not, so the accepted status, history, and auto translation. The summary, so the characters and words and spaces of the translated text, and auto translation indicator. So this is list view. You can also switch to table view, which looks like that. So it's an Excel-like view where you can also set up different views of this editor. Also, you can filter languages and translations. Of course, you can you can choose which languages you want to see. So, for example, only English and Spanish like this. You can filter translations by their status or sort them by list translated in here. One thing in the translation editor in the list view that can be useful in the start is bulk update option. You can hold Command or Control on your keyboard and choose translations that you want to update. So you can bulk actions here, and you can, for selected translation keys and languages, change the review status, for example, to automatically, with just a few clicks, mark all English translations are as accepted. You can change the namespace of selected keys or auto-translate selected translation keys. So this will be a useful feature for getting started with the project to set up your translation statuses right away with a few clicks. Now, when your translations are ready, you may want to export them to use it in your project. So to do that, go to Data tab, and here you can find multiple file formats which you can use to export your translation files. You can also use our REST API or SimpleLocalize command line to import or export your translation if that works for you. Another feature that is very useful is our translation hosting. If you go to Hosting tab, you can find here an option to create hosting environments and host your translations. So they are available for you from anywhere at any time with lightning speed. So here we have default translation hosting environments. We have the editor information, so we have the summary of our translations, and we can publish those translations to the next environment, which is latest in this case. We can publish them, and on that, SimpleLocalize creates the links for your translation files, basically your translation files. You can open them and you can access those files from your project directly. Of course, you can create multiple translation environments. Here we have latest and production, but you can have a staging environment, development environment, and production environment to have all translations up to date between different environments. Okay, I hope that helps, and I hope it will be easier for you to get started with SimpleLocalize. If you have any questions or doubts, feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you. Bye-bye.